We have some cute cupcakes filled with green goo and some really cute wonton ghosts.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Max 12.
Hello everyone. I found this idea on Pinterest, and this person used brownies as the base for their little cupcakes. So I decided to do the same thing because who doesn't love a brownie, right? So I whipped up a brownie recipe that I probably have used before, but I've never put this brownie recipe in a cupcake tin before. So I made the recipe, greased up some cupcake tins, and I greased them very well. Put the brownie batter in there and I baked it up. And then this is what they look like when they were done. They collapsed in the center. So you had a big hole in the center. Now the idea on the website said that once your brownies are out of the oven, you go around and you put a little hole in the middle, but there was already a hole in the middle. And I thought, well, that's okay. I'm going to fill them up with something anyway, so who cares? But when I tried to pull these out of the muffin tins, they would not come out. They were stuck like crazy and then just broke apart into pieces. So that was a fail. Now, onward. We go onward here. We needed some green candy melts. For this, I couldn't find any locally, so I decided to make my own by combining white candy melts with some oil-based food coloring that's specially designed for candy melts. And I just made a lovely kind of an electric, kind of a neon color green. And I just kept adding drops until I ended up with the color that I liked. Now you're going to mold these into little brain shapes. I have these molds I've had for years, and this one has eyeballs and brains, and they're designed to put an Oreo cookie in the center, and then you put the chocolate around the Oreo cookie. But in this case, I'm just putting a little bit of the candy melt in the bottom of it, and then I'm just drawing it up the sides with a brand new paintbrush that I just used for foodstuffs. And I'm just drawing it up. So you want a thin coating of the candy on the inside so it's kind of hollow in the middle. You have to add enough so that there's no super thin spots that might break when you try to pop these out of the molds. And once they're in there, you put these in the refrigerator and you're going to let them set until they're nicely chilled and they're hardened. And I said, while I'm at it, I might as well use some of the other molds that I have. These are little mummies that also are designed to contain a cookie. The eyes I did in yellow. And then I put that in the fridge until the yellow eyes were completely hardened. And then the area around the eyes is a little bit darker because it looks like the bandages are kind of split open a bit. So I added some chocolate. And then finally I added some white candy melts after the chocolate and the yellow was completely hardened. I added some white candy melts. Same technique, put a glob in the middle, and then I just drew it up the sides with that paintbrush to get a nice thin coating. And I'm just going to show you here how they pop out. If they're sufficiently chilled, they pop out fairly easily and very cleanly, and they'll have a nice shiny finish to them. So you can see the little brains and the little mummies that I made. Now the mummies, the center of the eye was lacking some detail. So I have these little edible marker pens that are actually designed for candy melts. And I just darkened them. You could use black candy melts for the center of the eye if you wanted to, but it's super easy to do it with this edible marker. Now the center of these cupcakes are supposed to look like the green slime. So when you bite into them, it kind of flows out like green slime. And to do this, you need to make a ganache, which is 8 ounces of white candy melts. And then you add 1/3 cup of heavy whipping cream. And you're going to microwave this for about a minute initially. Give it a stir and continue to heat in small increments and stir until it's all melted together. Then you add some food color to this to get it a nice green color. Now it doesn't matter if it's oil-based food coloring at this point because you do have the whipping cream in there. Stir it around until you get the color that you want, and then you put some plastic wrap on the surface of this, and then you're going to let it cool. You chill it in the refrigerator until it firms up a little bit. Now I'm going to put a link in the description box to what these are supposed to look like and what this green slime is supposed to look like when you bite into it. You can go check it out for yourself. Now, because my brownies were a fail, I just whipped up a batch of plain vanilla cupcakes. And then after they were cooled, using a knife here and just cutting at an angle to make like a cone shape. And you're just going to pop out a piece of the cupcake to get like a hole in the center. And the size of it really kind of depends on you. Then you're supposed to pipe in that ganache. Now, as soon as I piped this in, I realized that yes, it's green. Yes, it's delicious because it's a ganache. But there's nothing runny or slimy about this at all. Then we're going to put on a little bit of frosting around the edge because I want to set those brains and those mummies that we made. And I want them to kind of stick to the cupcake. So I put a little bit of orange buttercream frosting, and then I'm adding the brain on top. Now, to make these a bit more gory looking, I'm mixing some green food color with a little bit of seedless raspberry jam. And I heated the raspberry jam in the microwave for just 2 or 3 seconds, and it just makes it a little bit runnier and easier to work with. And if it gets too hot, it'll melt your candy melt. So heat it, mix it, and let it sit until it's at room temperature before you apply it to your little brains. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm applying some of that jam and food color on top to make them look a little bit slimy. And for the mummies, I'm just plunking them on top, just like that. They look really cute. I mean, the jam addition to the brains gives them a kind of a glistening, kind of a creepy factor. And the mummies are really, really cute. Okay, this video almost didn't get posted because it does have 2 significant fails in it. The brownies were impossible to get out of the pan, and they came out into a bunch of small pieces. Now, those didn't get thrown out. The brownie was delicious. It just ended up, Max took it home in a big container, and he just had himself some great brownie bits to eat. The other part of the fail here is the inside of these cupcakes. The website where I found these, the photo, if you want to go check it out, there'll be a link in the description. The green stuff in the center is supposed to be shiny, and it's supposed to be slimy and looking, and it's supposed to be flowing. So when you bite into it, it kind of flows out. In this case, the ganache was delicious. It's soft, but there's no slimy here, and it's not flowing. So I don't know if it's the candy melts that I had used, or if I would have had to play around with the ratio of cream to candy melt to get the right texture. But it is what it is, and this is how they turned out. They were good, though. I mean, it's super sweet because that's a lot of ganache inside of a cupcake. But kind of a fail. Oh, you can't win them all, right? Okay, on to our little cute wonton ghosts. Now, I had some wonton wrappers in my fridge that I wanted to use up, so I went online for Halloween recipes that use wonton wrappers, and I found this one. You could also use egg roll wraps, which are a bit bigger. Take your wrapper, and I'm using an edible pen. That's an edible ink. Then I'm drawing a little ghost face on there, and then brushing on a little bit of egg white. Make sure you don't go over the ghost face because you don't want to smudge it. And then sprinkle a little bit of white granulated sugar over top. And then you're going to take some aluminum foil and form it into a ghost shape as well. Now, this is where your creativity can come in. You can make these small and short and fat. You can make them tall and skinny. You can do a variety of them. Then drape the wonton on top of the little aluminum foil mold and press down gently so that you get nice little folds in the ghost. I put mine in a muffin tin to keep them upright, but you can also put them on a cookie sheet. Then you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for about 6 minutes or so until the wontons are just a little bit light brown. They'll get kind of bubbly looking. Let them cool a little bit and then pop them off the aluminum foil. And there they are. They're super cute. And if you wanted to, while these are still warm, you can drizzle a little bit of honey over top, and that by itself would make a really cute and tasty little dessert. You could eat them just like this as well if you don't want to add the honey. Or what I thought you could do is you could even add these to the tops of cupcakes. You could decorate a pumpkin pie with these. You could do a lot with these little ghosts. There are 2 playlists on your screen right now. One is to my Halloween cupcakes, and the other is to another way of using those wontons to make a Halloween themed meal, and those are these little bat wontons. So check it out. And thank you for watching.